Hey-o! What's up, fellas?
There it is. Haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Let's grab with it. Hey-o! No. Just a good old hey-o. Oh, man.
All right.
That's perfect. What's going on, everyone?
Hello, live chat. Let's see, who was first today? I think it was Papa.
Yeah.
Let's go. Ready for the show.
Was it? Yeah, he was in there. 9:51.
Hey, he's going to be
So the
doing
first
his install
one
soon.
after 10 was Josh.
Trying to sneak in without the city knowing because they want a permit. $150 for an annual inspection? Oh my gosh. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Honestly, I don't know how much they're gonna charge me. I have to get my backflow checked each year, and some irrigation companies, we'll come out and do it, whenever. I don't know how much it's gonna be, but hopefully it's at $150. That's wild.
For an inspection.
Yeah. I should get into that work. Shoot.
Yeah.
Can't take that long to do an inspection of a system, really. That's good money, man.
Yeah, do it every year.
That's what he said. Annual, yeah.
Dang.
Permits, these cities, man. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. What's up,
Crazy.
everybody? Welcome to KOTG, Tuesday nights, 10/9 Central, live on YouTube. Before we get into the show, how about we grab a glass and we'll keep off the grass. Hey, I like that. Shane, what are you drinking?
Nice. I like the mug,
It's
too.
a little Fort Point.
Nice.
Nice.
I got my tried and true lemonade. I'm addicted to this Mio stuff, you guys. I really hope there's nothing bad in it, like those Prime drinks. I'm getting all the PFAs or whatever, because I drink this
Yeah,
stuff.
you're getting that
all
artificial
day.
dye, man.
Yeah,
You're
man.
getting
I was
that.
actually
That
I was
yellow
hearing
5's gonna kill
something.
me.
I was hearing something about Prime that it's
Yeah.
like there's a lawsuit,
Yes.
but it's only like the grape flavor. Is that right?
Right. I guess they found it in that flavor, and anyway, this is totally unrelated to keep off the grass, but yeah, wild stuff. So hopefully it's not in my drink. I don't know. I've never actually had a Prime before. I heard they're good. Might have to try that grape.
Yeah.
No.
You get a good deal.
Yeah, it's
Well,
probably
Nate,
cheap
who
right
do we
now.
have joining us tonight?
Well, we do have Shane back for part 2 with Irrigreen, the coolest and newest in-ground irrigation system there is. Welcome, Shane. Appreciate you coming back.
Great to be back. I really loved the first one and looking forward to hanging out with y'all.
Yeah, so the first episode we had on was probably probably 2 months ago or so.
Yeah, that's about right.
So, we focus more on, introduction of what is Irrigreen, what is the company, how did you get started, how long you've been around, and then we got real hot and heavy into the technology of the head and kind of how that got going and the different versions that you came out with and whatnot. And tonight we decided we'd like to focus more on phase 2 of once you decided that this is the coolest thing you've ever seen, and you want to get it, you want to install it. Well, how do you install it? Is do you just call your local irrigation guy and he's going to come over and do it for you, or is this something that you're going to take on yourself over maybe a weekend or a couple weeks, Bill, or whatever it turns into? But so we want to get into more of the process of installation, and then talk a little bit, about the app and how you actually program it, control it, and go from there. So that's kind of what tonight's show is going to be about.
I'm in.
Yeah. And then I might be a little rumor that if at the end of the show we may have a promotional code that if anyone likes what they heard and interested in purchasing an irrigation system from Irrigreen, we're going to have a special promo that's going to run from now until the end of the month, if that's correct.
That's right. I think we got it through the end of the month on there. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Let me know. I think you've got that one, don't you?
I have.
That code.
I have a code. Yeah.
They sent it over to you, right?
I said what I wanted it to be, but I never got a return email saying confirmed.
Okay.
But
yeah, it's confirmed. Do the one you wanted.
And
the
KOTG?
Fix it up on the back, like exactly.
I know, Shane, do you have authorization to confirm that? I don't know if you're high enough in the food chain here at Irrigreen.
Yeah, there's authorization, and then there's like Will I get chewed out afterwards? Probably.
Do you still have to answer to the wife for Irrigreen?
Pretty much, yeah.
So
Sometimes
she's actually the real boss,
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah.
what, is there a code? Is there a code then?
Hey,
Or
guess what code I just did? They're like,
Yeah.
you did what?
Another one.
Like, we're already selling so many of them. Why are you giving out codes?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm thinking so. That's
There you go.
there you go. That's your excuse.
That's my excuse. You guys twisted my arm. Yeah. And then I think one of the most bizarre things is we were setting up a whole live Irrigreen system in Rockefeller Center in New York City on Monday.
I saw some of that.
Talk about that a little bit.
I do the Fox and Friends, which was absolutely bizarre. And then as soon as that aired, the website melted down. Just saw the traffic for that thing just go through the roof.
That's
So
cool.
we are all like, everybody's happy, but everybody's been working really hard, just scrambling and trying to get the quotes out and getting it out there like that. Well, but it's just, when it rains, it pours.
I'd like to think tomorrow morning with you being on KOTG is probably going to be the same thing, right?
I think exactly the same thing. In fact, they're like, don't do that show, man. Same thing's going to happen to the website.
Oh, no. We got to get more servers over here. Yeah. Oh, geez.
Rack them, start racking them.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. But yeah, that's the set.
I don't have the volume on because I think we'll get flagged, but
Yeah.
we'll get
Yeah.
copyrighted.
That's just so
And
cool
I listened to the TikToks that you guys had on there of this clips and everything, and basically it was promoting Earth Day, right? Which was yesterday.
Yeah. We ended up lining up with Earth Day, which was just really good timing and kind of part of the part was, saving like sort of half the money you spend on water outside.
Yeah.
By putting in digital sprinklers versus like mechanical sprinkler heads.
Gotcha.
And yeah, there's it going in New York City, like tracing the ends there. And I think they did a really good job sort of talking about, replacing like 40 heads in a typical system with like 5 of these digital heads.
Yeah.
Like
So
so much less pipe. And
does the gentleman on the left that's doing the talking right now, is he with Irrigreen?
no, he works for Fox. He does all the reporting on like their DIY segment and their also outdoor segment.
He seemed to be very knowledgeable about the
that's
product
guy
and
I
everything.
was
Well,
talking about.
we're on there largely because of him. Like he
Okay.
was just a really big, got into this stuff and kind of saw what it could do. And
Very cool.
I think it was to get going on this. So I'm very grateful. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny, like people see this stuff and it just lights them up. And then it's just amazing how fast and far they spread that. Like, that's really been our success, has just been people that have gotten the product or installed it or something else like that. And then they just, they invite their neighbors over, or they invite their friends. There's like, yeah, I got one of these.
Yeah.
And that's where, a lot of our business has come from.
I was gonna say Nate's, his neighbors are used to just seeing his immaculate lawn, but now they're going to be, oh my God, look at this sprinkler system he's got. We got to talk about this thing. This is insane. I think that's one of the coolest things is it is just so different, and even the way the water shoots out just looks totally different than what you would normally see. So if you happen to be out, walking your dog or whatever when it's running, I would definitely stop and be like, what in the hell is
Yeah.
that? What
If
is-
you
what's
saw it
that-
moving
what's
around.
going on?
Yeah, you see it like
Yeah.
tracing a shape around the
Yeah.
landscaping, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's, the funny thing is like we're like we see all these like parts where we water in the mornings and then it's off at like 9 a.m. and then you see it come on for like 15 minutes on Saturday, like at 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. and you're like, oh, someone's got a barbecue.
Yeah. Someone's
awesome.
showing off.
Someone's showing off. Yeah.
I thought this part right here, I mean, like, because like, the one that you have the V on the other side, like you guys use that clip quite a bit from in your promotional stuff. But this one here was like kind of like a slow S curve around the rock there. I thought that was really, really good.
Came out really well.
Yeah.
Came out really well. And I think they did a really good job just sort of, helping us get the setup and obviously you got to, all the stuff was set up like the night before. And
yeah.
How did they get the water?
In New York City, like you got to have a security guard around it all night,
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
stolen.
Stuff that you don't think about.
Yeah.
So when I'm watching this today, the question I couldn't not ask tonight was, where's the water going?
Ah, yeah. That's actually, when we do those demos, we actually put like a little, there's like a little pool underneath it that it all gathers back to in a pump. So it's all recirculating.
Okay.
Yeah. So the same water that's spraying out is being sucked back in to spray out again.
Gotcha.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that went crazy, and I think everybody's been running around here, but it's just, little, especially companies like Irrigreen, little things like this are just like such like bonding moments for all of us, because you work so hard on the engineering for these things and getting them manufactured, and there's always like 1,000 little problems that come up that you have to deal with, and you can't find a part, or there's a chip you can't get or something else like that, and so some of that's really a slog for that team. They work, really hard at night. And then something like this happens, it's like, oh, okay, this is why we're doing it, right? And getting it out there. But yeah, no, it was super, super amazing experience. And if the Irrigreen team's watching this, thank you guys so much for working so hard on that project. It definitely came through. And then it's just been great to have all these conversations of everybody like calling in, doing their lawn. If you go into Irrigreen, you can actually put in your address and do kind of a lawn design on it. Mm-hmm. And it now all works, guys. When like 9,000 of you were simultaneously working on it, like on Monday, it didn't work. We got that fixed now. It's scaled up. We got some more servers racked. So try it again. You'll get in there and be able to, figure out how many sprinkler heads you need for your lawn. But just super cool. And excited about that, but just also just like a whole bunch more people that will install it and then tell their neighbors. So
I was actually on Monday, which I didn't even know about this video, but I was on my lunch break. I was pulling up and went through the website, put the heads in and everything, and then there's a measurement tool that's inside of there as well. So then what I was doing is I was kind of measuring from where it said it was to the corners, because I've actually physically went out and measured where I think the head's going to be and stuff. Yeah. So then I was measuring that way. Then I got on the tool and measured, and then the one thing I haven't put I haven't marked where they're all going to go, just because I haven't got that far yet. Yeah. But on the website, I went and made sure where it had it, I didn't have more than 60 feet in between each one, because the cords are 30 feet, right? The connecting cables. Yeah. So, and we'll get into that here in a minute.
They're all 60 feet connecting cables. 60 feet now. Yeah, they used to be 50 feet. And then I think there's a couple people that are like, hey, I found this weird situation where I had to go around a stump, and all right, we'll make them 60 feet.
Yeah, when I was putting it in, I thankfully, because you want your heads, I guess at most, each head can shoot at about 30 feet. And so, you can get yourself maybe 60. You want a little bit of overlap potentially, is how I kind of approached it. I went about 25 feet because you're just not sure how your pressure is going to work or whatever. And I don't want to, you're digging trenches and putting them in. I don't want to have to dig them up out after the fact. So, but yeah, there was a good amount of cable there. So that was never an issue, because each one had, ample leftover for you. And you didn't have to cut it, the way I did it may not be the same as everybody, but the extra length of cable, and you just kind of twist it up and put it down there where my little shut-off valve is, buried under the grass, and there you go.
And you're done. Yeah, the nice part about it is if we give enough cable, then you can just plug it in. You don't ever have to do a splice or anything else like that. And when we did, the first few years we had Irrigreen, we went through all the failures that we found. And the biggest one was just like not getting good waterproof connections. And we're like, that's hard to do. And, especially, if it's like a contractor or something else like that, they do a really good job making you a waterproof connection. And we're like, what if we just got rid of that? What if it was all just super simple, kind of diver connection, plug and play, where it's all waterproof, and slap a clip over it so it can't come off. And that's just been a godsend in terms of like, making sure that the wiring always works, which is, you guys know how frustrating this is, where you're like trying to debug a valve or something else like that and tracing down wire, and that stuff never lasts 10 years.
Sally's got a good question here. If you already have an irrigation system installed, how would you go about converting to this system?
Very good question. So if you have an irrigation system,
Hi,
Sally,
Mom. That's my
mom. Awesome. Then, it's actually easier to put the system in. So you've got a lot of places you can tap off of to get like the main line, which is like the water before the valve. So you can go to like a valve box, or you can go to somewhere else and tap off that section of pipe and just put like a little cut that goes into the center of the zone. Because with an Irrigreen system, you're not going to have sprinklers all around the edges. You're just going to have one of those digital sprinklers that's right in the center of the zone. So you've already, the nice part is you probably already have a backflow. You've already got different places you can get your main line, whether that's like a hose, a hose bib, a place where you've got a place to screw in a hose near your valve. The backside of a manifold for like a valve box you already have. So there's lots of places you can kind of tap off if you already have a system. So it's easier to put in. And you don't ever have to like rip out your old system. Like if you really care, you can go in and put caps on it. But most people just don't turn your old system on again when you put in Irrigreen. And then that means you don't scar the lawn, you don't pull up pipes or anything else like that. You just quit using them. You can always have them there for a backup if you wanted to, or anything else like that as well. But it's pretty simple. So it takes out a good chunk of the labor if you've already got an existing system. In fact, like probably the majority of people that we put a system in for, they're like, they already have a system and they're just like, hey, I want a better system. I've got brown spots and I got swampy spots, and I'm spending $150 to $300 every year to have somebody come out and do repairs on my system, and it's time for me to kind of get something new that's going to work better for me. And that's a lot of the reason why we'll see it like an Irrigreen install. And we see people that, are dragging hoses and want to not drag hoses anymore too.
Yeah.
That's definitely me.
Yeah.
So Shane, let's take some steps backwards in the whole installation process, because there's some things you need to do first.
Yeah.
Before you even are you able to have an Irrigreen system? There's some stuff in regards to flow, pressures, and all that may prevent you from even being able to install.
Yeah. So generally, if you get a little pressure gauge and just put on one of your hose bibs, the little screws you put a hose into, you can check that. And if you're between like 40 and 80 psi, you're fine. Like it'll work great. If you have a little less pressure, like 40 psi, you might want to just check to see it might not throw a full 30 feet. You might have to put the heads a little closer together. But if you've got like 50, 55 psi, you'll throw 30 feet, so you'll be fine. And then the other piece is just to grab like a 5-gallon bucket, put it under there, and basically see how many seconds it takes you to fill out that bucket. And, you're kind of looking for like 8 gallons a minute. So as long as you've got 40 psi and 8 gallons a minute, you're good to go. But it's really important to kind of like maybe do that test first, just to make sure you got good water. And most 99% of the time, if you're on municipal water somewhere, you'll be fine. If you got your own well or anything else like that as well, it depends on the pump you have and other things like that. You'll want to for sure check that out.
So when I checked my water pressure, I was closer to like 85. Do I need to put any type of restriction on that, or will that be okay?
If you're that much over 80, you might consider just putting like a PRV, like a really simple, just to knock the pressure down a little bit to, something below 80. At 85 there, you can give it a try. You're not too far over, but generally we say 40 to 80 psi is really where we want you to be.
So if he leaves that at like 85 and he's pushing, he's spitting these heads out 35, 40 feet instead of 30, it's just blasting it and a piece breaks. Does this void his warranty now? Because we know he's got too much damn pressure. Nate.
No, this is where you pull up this video, Nate, and you'd be like, Shane said.
Yeah.
And you know what they're going to do? They're going to be like, you not only gave them that code where they got a bunch of money off, we were already selling like hotcakes. But then you told them. Yeah, I mean, the safest thing is to kind of just knock it down 5 with a little PRV. They're not that expensive. And then that'll also give you a little headroom on the system.
Gotcha. Yeah, so when I've done all my measurements and stuff like that, easy now.
Yeah.
But when I was doing my measurements and everything, I'm really thankful that my pressure is at that rate, because I would probably have to maybe add another head or two.
Yeah.
Just because from the corner of like where the driveway is to the front, and everything, I'm in that like 32 to 33.
Yeah.
And so, having the ability to go closer to 35 for me is going to be very beneficial.
It'll help you out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. So we basically did our checks. We got good water pressure, flow is good. You're making up your mind. You go to the website, type in your address, design your system, see how many heads you need, make sure everything's right. You use that code KOTG to save $500 off of your Irrigreen system.
Yeah,
And-
use it before the end of the month because it's going away after
Where
that.
at? What website is that on?
Irrigreen website.
That's Irrigreen, IRRI, and then green, GREEN.com. And there'll be a place right on the front where you can put in your address, and that'll take you in to figure out how many heads you need. You also have the ability, if you want to have one of the folks, there's a bunch of irrigation pros that we have on there that'll do like a 30-minute phone call with you or a Zoom meeting. And just to make sure you're buying the right stuff and you got it set up, and mostly to answer your questions. There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
And that's a real discount, man. That Earth Day one in mine is only $350. So this one's legit.
Yeah. I'm gonna get in trouble for this one.
Reading into the margins, you guys.
Oxford get one better than us.
That's a good deal, folks. I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, so that so I think when so the next part will be you can go into that website when you put your address in. It'll basically show you the satellite picture of your yard, and then you just kind of trace around just with your mouse or your finger if you're on a phone what you want to water. And then once you do that, it lets you sort of drag in the heads, and you can kind of see how they would spray. So how many of them you need in order to make sure that nothing's uncovered. And then, you can also, if you have a big tree in the middle of your yard, you can kind of drag, put a little obstacle in there so you can see, line of sight, what would that block? And do I need another head on the other side? Things like that as well. And then once you kind of put go, there's two really cool things that happen. One is that will actually go back and get 3 years of daily weather data from your particular location to figure out, if you're growing cool weather grass, how much water would that take you in general to keep that well irrigated? And then how much would Irrigreen save you? So you get an idea of how many gallons. And if you go to your water bill, you can kind of figure out, how much money will that save me? How quickly will this thing pay me back? Yep. And then the other thing it'll do is it'll tell you all the parts that you need, and it'll kind of put them in the cart for you to sit there and say, for this yard, these are all the parts that you need. So you can go in there and basically either buy the system if you want to at that point, or if you want to talk to somebody, there's a way to talk to one of the irrigation pros just to double check the system or anything else like that. And then don't forget to put the KOTG code in. Also gives you a place to do that as well.
Yeah. So we get to that point, and like I said, we hit the enter button, and your packages typically it arrives in 1 to 2 boxes, depending on how many heads, obviously.
Yeah, usually, the average is probably 2 boxes. Yeah.
Yep. So you're going to get those, and then kind of what comes with the system.
Yeah, so that's the fun part. You get to kind of unwrap this digital irrigation system. So what you're going to get is the controller in there, right? And the controller is kind of like the brains, like a typical irrigation controller. And the nice part about that is it's hybrid. So if you have valve zones, you got some bubblers on some trees, or you got a little garden, in back, or anything else like that, you've got, 12 valve zones there you can connect like a regular controller. And then you have the plugins to basically put in the digital controller as well. You'll have a line coming out of that you can plug in, and that's you can put, up to 8 heads on one line. So you don't have to run wires or to each individual sprinkler head. And it doesn't have to be in a line. You can, there's also a T sometimes if you want to go 2 different directions, to the front yard, the backyard, and something like that. And you'll have all the cable to do that too. And then you'll have the digital sprinkler heads, right? And each of those will have a little flex pipe on it, which is really, really cool, because that just, you're going to screw that into, any sort of 1/2 inch on whatever piping you're using, whether you're using poly or PVC or anything else like that. But that kind of lets you, move the head up and down, have a lot of flexibility on how you mount it to get it to the right height. So it's, below where you mow, but high enough that you don't have a lot of dirt and debris going into it. So you have to clean it out all the time. And
I can pull up there.
Yeah, ooh, there you go. Check that out. And you also can see those plug and play cables.
One of your folders is selfies. That's great.
Yeah, I like.
Well, no, that's Apple. Apple does.
Where'd you get the hand?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There you go. And then it'll also have those plug and play cables, so you can basically just plugging it in is like a dream. Oh
This
yeah,
is my Irrigreen folder in the cloud.
Yeah, love it. You can
If
see
I
all
showed my
the little-
controller box open, I just
nozzles, yeah.
realized. Say that again.
Bill, you realize you're tugging on your head there, right?
Yes,
Oh boy.
I wanted to see those holes. I had a shot of the inside of the control box, but I just realized when I pulled it up that it shows like my I guess identifiers or something, like a password.
If you haven't pulled your password sticker off there, don't throw that up yet.
Okay, I won't throw that on there. All right, sorry guys, I was going to show you
It's a
the
little
controller, but I
beautiful
can't.
sticker, folks. So if you want to take your password off, you can pull that off.
Well, it's up in the garage now, up on the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll
Hey,
take a
everybody.
picture of it later this week or something,
Yeah,
because I want to
yeah.
get this system turned on, you guys.
Yeah.
The rain we've supposedly been getting is like a light drizzle, and it ain't nothing. So
Yeah.
I think maybe this weekend or next week, if we don't get any rain this weekend.
Get some real irrigation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That domination's got to start. You know, I want to put some more fruit down and get that water going. Some of the neighbors are looking too green right now compared to me. You know what I mean? We're too even. So I need to
Yeah.
take it up. You know, get some of that iron, get some of that water, and just take off.
And go.
Anyway, yeah.
Go.
Nice.
Yeah, so those will be the main things on the piece, and then the next part will be just kind of like figuring out. You can look at the plan that you made,
Mhm.
and you can just put sort of irrigation flags where you want to put the heads.
Yep. Yeah, I was watching Vince, an old KOTG alum, the Lawngenuity. I was watching his videos of his process of installing everything, and he had a really good point that the heads are numbered, and to make sure that you put them in sequential order. He had said that he'd got them all in, and then all of a sudden realized like it was like 1 and 4, and he didn't have them in the right order, so he had to redo that. So that was definitely something I jotted down.
You can also name the heads in the app, so if you screw that up, you can give them better names.
Gotcha.
So the app will kind of help you save you there a little bit, but we'll see. Pretty soon that we're going to be sending them without numbering them, because all the heads have this really cool Bluetooth radio in them, all the new ones.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what you can do is you can actually bring your phone close to it, and they'll say, hey, you'll see the little signal strength. You're really close to this head. And then at that point, you can just go through. And part of that was just so that people didn't have to pay attention to what they were numbered. They could just put them in any way they wanted to. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I don't really read all the instructions.
Yeah, there was a couple pieces there. I was like, do I
read the
should I
first
put
part?
this
And I'm
in?
like, I got this.
That's gonna be me in a few weekends. I'm gonna be calling Shane. Shane, this ain't working. What do I do?
I'll
How do
be
I
like,
fix
you
this?
didn't read all the directions. And I'll be like, well, you told me you didn't read all the
Exactly.
Yeah. So in that case, or a lot of times we'll have like contractor crews. Well, like one crew will just be involved in like getting the pipe in, getting the heads in, and then they'll get out of there. And then somebody's kid that's got an iPhone will come out and do all the other, set all the zones up and, set the pieces like that. So, once you get them in, once you get that, sometimes I'll take a tape measure and just double check that, they can spray, that's, 30 feet to the areas that it needs to spray. Or if you've got an enormous amount of pressure, you can be a little further than that. But we always like engineering margin.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's why we say 30 feet.
Gotcha.
And then once you've done that, then you can kind of sit there and say, okay, well, what's the most efficient way for me to get pipe to these heads? And so, the nice part about it is it's really flexible. You can basically tap off mainline if you got if you find like a valve box you've got somewhere, if you already have an irrigation system, like the manifold side of that is mainline, so you can tap off the pipe right there. If you've got like a hose bib, a place where you screw in a hose, that's all mainline. You can tap there. If you go by your backflow, where that comes out of your back of your house and the water comes out of your house, that's a great part to tap off. It's pretty flexible, whatever makes your life easiest. And then the really cool thing about Irrigreen is that you're going to put in about 80% less pipe than if you do a traditional irrigation system, because you just have one head in the center versus like 8 heads all around the periphery. So you're not trenching all around the edges, which is usually not a great place to trench anyway. There's, sidewalk and hardscape and all this other stuff. You want to be digging in the middle. We have a lot of our favorite friends in the lawn business that are really surgical on the way that they like slice their turf and roll it over.
Not
Get it in
me.
there.
I'm thinking about renting a sod cutter so I can just sod cut.
Go cosmetic, man. Roll it up and then roll it back down. Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping
Now, I
to do.
have to say, you guys are kind of up here, and most of our customers are kind of like, we'll just kind of cut it with the shovel, flip it over, and flip it back. And actually, that works pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the surprising part is because it's just so much less digging, and the design for it is basically like if you have a tape measure in a head and you can measure 30 feet, you're a designer now. Versus like a regular mechanical sprinkler system, it's like match participation and which heads and then what angles and how do you keep the pressure in the pipe. None of that matters with the Irrigreen. It's all in software and it's all in the digital heads. They're just really smart. And so for like DIY projects, we dominate. Like if you're putting this thing in yourself, like it is so much better than a regular mechanical irrigation system. So that's just been like where we've gotten tons of love, kind of on that DIY side. And then some people are like, you know what? I love my lawn, don't love digging. And they'll get a contractor to put it in. We've got a really cool program where if you already got a landscape contractor you like working with, if you call them, Irrigreen will basically train them for free. So we'll set them up. We'll give them, the training to, put the system in. If they've already installed an irrigation system, this is a lot easier than a regular one. So they've already got the skills to do it. But, usually we'll call them and we've got them up to speed and they're putting it in like a pro.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely, I haven't, this is the only system I put in, but just knowing, the time to do this and, digging in with the trencher and stuff, just the savings of just not having to go all the way around the yard and then thinking about it, an extra control box somewhere and all the different pieces and then connecting all those heads and all that extra stuff. As far as DIY goes, this, I don't think it could get much easier than this, especially how you guys supply the cables, have the connectors. There's nothing to splice. You're just plugging it into the controller, and you're good to go. So there's some things you can't really avoid. You got to dig up the lawn a little bit. You got to get some PVC or PEX or whatever the pipe is. There's steps, that they're involved, but there's just so much less of it that if the weather cooperates, it shouldn't take too long to get done. Depending on the yard size.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not having to do it on a Saturday here and a Saturday there, if you can, have the time off during the week and just kind of hit it, it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah,
especially if you don't have a driveway to go under either.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part. Like Nate's a lucky dog. He's got a nice flat yard and he gets to go a little U shape there. I'm jealous.
And you're done. Yeah. And, the other thing we find is a lot of people do like sort of hybrid where they'll like get a guy from Home Depot or get a contractor and say, all I want you to do is dig the holes, put the PVC in and give me the little 1/2-inch tees.
Yeah.
And once you put in those in, you guys can go home. I'll get the rest and I'll backfill it for it. And I'll do all the backfilling and everything.
That's
else.
actually a good call.
Kind of a nice little hybrid where you don't do the grunt work. It's really easy to understand that project. You're just like, I want PVC. You see these little things? Give me PVC there and give me a little 1/2-incher right here. As we go around, it's work they know how to do. They can, you get a pretty low quote for it or something else like that. And then you can just do the fun part, which is, screwing in the digital heads and setting them up. But I don't want to get ahead. So the next thing is once you have this in there, a lot of times you want to find a place to put the control box. And, people put it in their garages. They put it outside. We're real nuts on there's a lot of irrigation companies that don't make an outdoor control box. You got to buy another box to put it around. We don't believe in that. Everything we make is outdoor rated. So you can put it inside, you can put it outside.
Do you recommend one or the other, or it's 100% doesn't matter?
Your favorite. We
Gotcha.
did have one that was in Phoenix that was pointed at the sun in Phoenix.
It's 125.
And we're like, and they cooked that one, and then they just put it in the sun, but not on the sunniest side of the house, and then it was fine. So maybe a little more testing to do there, but
Is there any concerns with the outdoor ones in winter? Do you have to somehow unhook something, bring it inside, or no?
Remember, we're in Minnesota.
I hear you.
Right, so we take these things through some pretty crazy winters.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, I think that, that's pretty well tested on these. But, when we put in the components and we do the environmental testing and stuff like that, we work pretty hard on that to make sure that we got a tough product.
Gotcha.
And your system, it's all Wi-Fi too. So if you, depending on where you're putting it, you want to make sure you have a decent signal. And I put mine inside the garage just because I just wanted to be sure. I'm sure it would have been fine outside. We have, the Eero mesh, the spend too much money on our Wi-Fi system, but I wanted it, on the inside. That way, if I needed to get into it, it's there. I don't have to go outside to do it. And then I know my signal's pretty strong in there for my Alexa and garage.
Yeah, you really want to make sure you got like 4 bars or so where you put it. You don't want a signal that's sometimes there and sometimes not, just in case somebody leaves a ladder on it or something and blocks the signal. So finding a good spot for that. And then the other part is just making sure you got a place to plug it in. So some kind of an outdoor outlet somewhere that you can plug in the box. So those are the main things. So you figured out where to put your sprinkler heads, you figured out where you want to put your controller box. And remember, like, in some cases, it maybe make more sense to put the controller box, and generally the wires will go in the same trench. All the wires are direct bury rated. So you can put them in the exact same trench you're putting your pipe in, whether that's PVC or poly, whatever you like to do. But sometimes, like, you might want to have a little trench just for the wires because you're going to put the control box over here and you don't need to have the main line over there. So, sometimes there's a little jogging you get over to that. And then at that point, it's kind of like just kind of laying out cables, making sure you have enough of them. If you need an extra cable, just call us. We can hook you up with another one. If you need to put in there, if you need another T, because remember, you can make whatever topology there you want. You can daisy chain all your heads. You can go out to a splitter and go to like half of them that one front yard, half of them in the backyard. There's lots of different ways to do it. But just whatever you do, please don't cut the cables.
Yeah.
Like it will your life will be so much better if you don't cut the cables. So that's a big one on that to set up. And then, once you've dug out and you've dug your trench to whatever depth is recommended in your area, depends on how hard you freeze or anything else like that. Then you're going to go to, come off the head, have the elbow off the head and have the Irrigreen head. Now, some people like to put in our videos, put like a valve box in there. That's kind of nice because if you ever need to change a head, and again, remember that valve box is going to be below your turf. Your grass is going to grow over it. It's going to be like an inch or two below there. So it's not an eyesore. You won't see it. But, if you got to like swap a head, remember they're all got those plug and play connectors on it. So it makes it really easy if it's in the valve box, just like unplug your connections and plug another one in. That's optional. Sometimes, and then once you've got that in place, route it back, plug it into the controller, plug the controller in. There's like a little test you can do right after that that'll tell you you've got connectivity and how many heads you have online. Please run that test before you fill the ditches back in.
Yeah.
Just because there's nothing, trenching I'm okay with. Retrenching for some reason is just like digging it back up after you put it in there. So like while everything's in the ground, you can make sure they're all in there. And then this is a really important part is before you turn the water on, just unscrew your heads off, and you really need to like blow out any of the debris or anything else like that in the piston because there's like PVC glue in there. Inevitably, some little rocks and dirt got in there, and you don't want to really be blowing that through your new digital heads. Yes, they have a screen in there you can clean off and everything else like that, but that's really a bummer. So please, it'll tell you how to blow out the system, but you basically just turn on the water and give it like a good 5 minutes to rinse. And it's not just, it's the little little things in there, but also remember all that PVC glue and stuff like that. Sometimes it takes a little while for that stuff to come off. And you just want to make sure you got really clean pipes before you screw it back in.
Clean those pipes.
Mm-hmm.
KOTG tip right there.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know.
Always good to remember.
I may not have given it enough time when I did it. I got one head that's a little bit wonky, and I think and I didn't realize how simple it was to pull the head off and just kind of wipe out that little screen filter. So that's one thing I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It works fine. It's just sometimes the jet, it doesn't quite, it's almost as if it's not, sometimes it gets all the way to the curb, sometimes not quite, so I'm going to clean that thing out, and I think that should fix it. Cause I definitely didn't give it 5 minutes of winching. I was like, good enough. I'm going to get moving on, need to go to the next one. So, maybe I should.
I'm going to make a t-shirt that says, I'm going to make a t-shirt that says, don't cut the cables and blow out your,
5 minutes.
and basically run water through it before you put the big heads on, do the rinse. Clean pipes.
Zach, do you have the ability to pull up their website?
Yeah.
So if you do, pull it up and then I'll speak on it. But so I've been spending a lot of time researching, playing around with the tools, just kind of like I said, just really getting to learn as much as I can about everything. So when I get into it, it's not like, oh, I didn't know about that or whatnot. But you close that. So I will say, oh, it's different now. Never mind. So I had taken a picture of this and I'd posted it. I can't remember what it was on or whatever, But then your guys's, you had a promo code at the top of it, and it was for 1 free Irrigreen sprinkler head, right? But all my friends commented on what the code was for that.
Oh,
Do you-
more head.
it was free head
Nice.
was the code, and so all my friends are like messaging me back, like laughing so hard, and it was pretty funny, but I didn't know if you guys,
Oh, that's good.
I didn't know if you guys had even realized that when you put that code in there. Yes or no? I don't care.
You have to understand that, most
take
of
it
the
down,
time we're
Zach.
innocent Minnesota people.
Yeah, but yeah. Oh, I should have worn my shirt today. That's specific to Iowa and Minnesota football.
Yeah.
You guys should make a shirt that says free head.
But yeah, so like I said, my buddy's got a good kick out of that one.
Yeah, they got a good kick out of that one.
Yeah. So
Usually somebody in the service department will come back and point it out and go, guys.
They got lost on the marketing team with the service guys.
Yeah.
They know what's up.
Yeah.
It's like our warehouse guys. Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, so
Oh.
hold on.
Hmm.
Yes.
It is that time of year. Grass is growing.
It's that time of the
Weeds are
show.
greening up.
It's that time of the show.
That time of the show. Here
Bill?
at Keep Off the Grass, we have a weekly Lawn of the Week contest. If you're on Instagram and you're posting lawn pictures, doing DIY content like we are, use the hashtag KOTG Lawn of the Week. We're all following that hashtag, and that gets you in our it gets you on our radar. Now we can't go and search the hashtag and see the recent posts, so it's actually forced us to, like, as soon as we see one, send it to the chat. Oh, this one's great. This one's great. So we had a few back and forth this week. So I know everybody's getting outside and starting to look really good. There's been a lot of really good lawns out there. So if you're into it, use that hashtag when you're posting pics. You can still do a reel. I don't know how that's going to impact our ability to search, but those still pop up in my feed too. I might have to pay more attention to the hashtags in the caption or something, because on the pictures it shows up, but I don't know about reels. But yeah, not on stories, because we can't see those after 24 hours. But use a hashtag, and if you are chosen the Lawn of the Week, you get your pick of a free bag of Pro Peat fertilizer, one of their 25-pound bags available at Home Depot. You can check out the website, John, and those guys. Anything that's available on the website, you can pick out. So whether it's their fossil product or any NPK, whatever kind of grade you want, they'll make it happen for you and send it out to you. And then you get eternal bragging rights. I mean, you are KOTG Lawn of the Week. And this week's winner, I'm going to see if I can share a screen.
I got it.
I got it. Okay, all right. So we have our first time winner we've had for a little while here now. This week, going out to West Side Lawn.
You.
Nice property. I love the
Wow.
trees.
Those drone shots?
They gotta be.
Just really tall.
Say, I put my tripod on the top of the minivan, but that's a little higher than I can get.
That's where my ladder went.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. I like that one on the top right where you got the diagonals and you got the just obviously domination, but then you got the border trim around it. Looks sweet.
Yeah, that looks clean.
Yeah, I like the diagonals on that line.
What do you think is growing? Is that looks maybe a little taller?
So,
than that?
and I'm gonna say this with respect, but keep this picture up. But I have this exact same issue. So, like, let's say on the right side of my lawn, I start doing my diagonals, and then as I get to the backyard, I'm doing the full diagonals, and then when I come back on the other side, somehow the angle changes.
You've shifted a little.
If you look at those diagonals in the front, the left and the right, they're kind of different angles. You notice that? But that happens to me when I do that. Sometimes I'll take a step back and I'll look across my driveway. I'm like, wait a minute, like this one's like this, and then this one's like way over here like that. So
you got to have the drone up in the air while you're mowing.
Yeah.
That happens to me, not even going across the driveway. I struggle to keep my stripes nice and straight. So more power to you, man. That looks great.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Like I said, looks great. Diagonals, I've been doing diagonals now. The last couple mows, I like my diagonals right now.
Looks awesome.
Looks awesome.
Bill is
Oh
pumped.
my God.
That might be better than the mustache.
I don't know. This is pretty
I don't know, man. That's pretty good.
I'm gonna have to grow it back out now that
It's the
my
smirk
my
too. I
cheeks
think
aren't
that-
as round.
It's that smile you had with the stash. It's a mischievous little smirk.
Bill, I saw your post the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't made one of these in a while. This is perfect.
I took so many stupid pictures at Home Depot when I saw those. I was like, holy shit. Oh, I was like, all right, I got to pick the 2 silliest ones I could find. So without going too crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do shit like that weekly. Have somebody getting roasted every week.
Yeah. Yeah, be careful what you post. You might show up on KOTG in one of our shows.
I'll be like, yep, that happened.
Well,
think mine was
congratulations,
like-
Jonathan. West Side Lawn. Keep Off the Grass Lawn of the Week. Hit us up on Instagram, the KOTG account. Let us know where you're at and what you want, and we'll get that over to John. And they kind of batch fill their orders because I guess it's easier that way, or it just makes more sense to put in a number of them. So it could be a minute before it gets to you, but they will get out to you. And yeah, man, you'll like it. It's good fertilizer. Check them out.
Yep. So yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but
No, that's good stuff. Great lawn.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a preference? So I know you said you could use any PVC, PEX. It's kind of up to you.
Yeah.
Does it make any difference for the system, or have you guys noticed that folks tend to do one over the other, or what are your
No, I
thoughts
mean, it
on
really
that?
depends on what area of the country you're in.
Really?
Like, in terms of what people prefer. I think they both work really well. It's a pretty religious war, like which one people like the most.
I got a lot of comments one way or the other. People are
Yeah,
very passionate.
Funny,
Oh,
like,
you're so
you
stupid.
want to get in a
man."
fight with somebody, just start going through,
I know. Just
PVC or
yeah.
poly, and you'll get there.
Yep.
But yeah, they both work really well. I do like the pictures of people out with their barbecue. So if you do the PEX and you do the hot water and you start rolling your barbecue around to keep the hot water close to where you are.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I love those videos, so keep those coming.
That's funny.
yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Yeah, get your extra money out of that barbecue. But yeah, either way works really well. We've had great performance on both systems. Yeah, this is kind of a little piece up there that shows you how many heads you need with a lot of these mechanical systems, and you can basically make that go away if you go to digital.
That's one of the things with these heads is that the heads are all the same, so it's consistent. You know what each head's gonna do on each section. Whereas if theoretically, if you have a traditional system, you could have different kinds of heads in different areas and different zones, maybe bigger than other zones, and it could get a little bit complicated. Or some areas may not get hit quite as good as you want, and then you got to kind of do some math or figuring some things, some detective work and whatever. But with these heads, you know what each one's doing. And,
yeah, they're going to put that even layer of water down exactly where you want it. So, yeah, and the other piece too is like with a typical system, you'll have like, you may have different water pressure at different points in your system. Like if you have a hill or something else like that. Conventional system, that's really hard. You got to figure out, okay, well, that one's going to throw less, so I need different heads. How do I keep the pressure the same in the system? Irrigreen doesn't care, because like that head like automatically calibrates to whatever water pressure it is in that moment in that particular position. So you could have one at 40 psi up on a hill, one at 80 psi in your front yard, and the system will work just perfectly across those. Not only that, but if your water pressure fluctuates, you can put those XP heads in. Those are the new heads that we just made. And they actually have like pressure sensors in them, so that like if the water pressure is less than it was yesterday or something like that as well, that water pressure will kind of go down, and that water pressure, it'll basically the valve will like sort of change so that it keeps spraying exactly that same shape, even though the water pressure is changing while it's doing it. It's really cool. Like that's still like, when I see those demos of them like changing the water pressure and it's still like tracing that perfect line, that still blows me away.
So we got to talk about the app a little bit before the end of the show. I got mine pulled up here. Everything looks good right now. Can't really see it. Everything looks good. It's not turned on, but it's all connected. I'm gonna get this bad boy on soon. But this thing, yeah, this was super easy to sync up and calibrate and map out.
Yep.
It was actually
Yeah,
kind of
so
fun too. You know,
it is.
when you're manually moving those heads around, they can fly. You know, when the system's going, it's going nice and slow, but you can get your kids with them if you want.
Yeah, it is like the end of Super Soaker Wars. So if you have the app and they have a Super Soaker, you've won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can just kind of like turn on programming, aim it right over there, keep it kind of in, and then just open that thing up.
I mean, you could whip it. Like, you can really move that thing around.
Yeah, whip it around. So the app is really easy. It's like kind of like a video game. You basically just have these little points. You can kind of see it here, but you just sort of drag those points out. And then as you drag a point out, the sprinkler kind of follows that. So as you're pushing it out on your phone, it's basically just spraying to that point that you have on your finger pointing. So you can kind of like move it around and you'll see the sprinkler move around until it's like right on the edge of your landscaping. And then you just kind of do dot to dot all the way around. It only takes like 5 minutes. And then you can kind of hit play and then see it like do that pattern, make any little adjustments you want, and it's done.
Yeah,
So
you can zoom in and you can kind of get the rough shape using your fingers or whatever, and then when you have it pulled up, it gives you little options like little arrows on either side. You kind of tap to kind of really kind of dial it in, bit by bit to get it right at that corner of your sidewalk or your driveway or whatever it may be. Which that's pretty cool. It's really good. Makes it easy to fine tune, and it's cool to see the different shapes you have mapped out for your yard.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It'll show you the shape that you mapped. But, we actually call it your lawn print because we're like, everybody's got a very different, it's like your fingerprint.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own lawn print, which is like the unique shape that you have. Mm-hmm. And part of what we're thinking is like, regular sprinklers are all kind of one size fits all. It kind of like sprays a 90 or it sprays a 180, right? And it's like our lawns aren't like that, And so, your lawn is unique. The way it goes around your house is unique. So why wouldn't you have something that could completely match your lawn print?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, after the first episode, we talked about, like how the idea came and, yada, yada, yada. But like just thinking about the technology, it's super cool to me, just to think that this sprinkler head that's in the ground can just now print and customize it to the shape of your lawn. That's just fascinating to me.
Yeah. The cool part is that after you get it on, it's got a feature that we call it auto water. But that's basically our water-based, our weather-based watering. But the really cool part about that is we know that we don't know as much about your lawn as you do. So once you turn on auto water, you can kind of let it run for a couple weeks. And then you can kind of go out and go, I noticed that my front yard on the side here is like a little more moist than I like it. And you can just kind of kick that auto water down a little bit, right? And then go in the back and you say, hey, my back over here is a little crispier. So you can kind of turn that up a little bit. And then kind of get to the point where you're just like completely tuned in. It's watering exactly how you want it versus the weather. You have it, you have that system dialed in. You can kind of monitor it and see how many gallons it's watering every single different time based on the weather and why. And then, we're seeing people that just get that dialed in and they're just they end up saving about half the water that they put in, which, depends on where you live. But if you're on muni water, especially getting those, $100 water bills a month, $200.
100.
Yeah, right.
I'm talking 3.5, 4.
3.5, 4, right? Like that's big money, right? You pay for that system right away.
Yeah, the sewer charge in our town.
Yeah, and they charge you sewer for it too.
Sewer, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there is going to save me half of my water bill because we pay more for the sewer than we do for the water itself.
Yeah,
so just that alone, I
Same.
can double my water output over summer and still pay the same.
Yeah. So those are the areas where we can really really pay back for you. So it's not just you're putting a cool one in. If you're trying to grow the best grass too, you want the best irrigation. You want completely even watering. Otherwise you're like swampy spots and spots that don't get coverage and you're out there with a hose trying to fill in the little spots that didn't get as good. That's not the way to grow the best lawn.
Yeah, I think it's really cool how you're saying it paints the lawn because it does look like it does. But the only downfall I would say with that is when you're seeding. Mm-hmm. If you were seeding, I feel like that might move the seed around a lot versus the conventional system.
It did for me close to the heads, further out, not a big deal. But I saw, I think Justin Lawn Whisperer, when he did his system, he put some of that net down or whatever, the cover of that. I was like, man, I didn't even think about that.
I guess
Yeah,
that
a little straw, or a little net or something else like that does really well.
Totally would have solved the problem.
So stay tuned because we have another head coming out. That's it's not free.
No.
But that one's it's got some extra nozzles in it. Probably 2-3 months before we get it. But that one is, part of it's designed for, to be a little gentler on that. I'm not saying you won't have to use a little straw or a little cloth over the top or something like that if you're seeding.
Yeah.
Better. Mm-hmm.
But that's like for a small percent of people who probably seed every year like us. But I just know, like, if I use like those sprinklers that go like this, that's too tough on the seed. It moves it around for me. So that's just the only thing I thought of.
Yeah.
But I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So, and like I said, you don't have to disclose anything at all, but what do you got coming down the pipeline? What is some stuff that maybe
oh man,
in the R&D bucket that maybe is moving toward
in the R&D bucket
that's moving towards production.
Boy, I got some really cool stuff, but I can't. This is the one where like discounts I get chewed out, right?
Okay.
Like, the $500 I'm going to get chewed out for that, right?
Yeah, stick to the plan.
Yeah, like I said, we understand.
Telling people they probably still can run it at like 82 psi. I'll get chewed out for that. R&D, man, they'll kill me. Like that's like James Bond's laboratory until like on that part as well of that. But there is some cool stuff I can't wait to talk about. Even that being said, like pretty much a lot of the research we do is on software. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's always been a huge tenet of this company is like to make sure that all the systems, even the ones that you buy today or the ones you bought a year ago are all compatible so that we can keep downloading a lot of those new features and pieces to we can not only download it to the controller, but we can also download it to the digital head. So as we come up with new features and new things like that, one of the first things they do is we basically put an update in so that everybody has that available. And that's part of the reason that, we think people buy Irrigreen, not just because it's great today, but because they know we're going to make it better and better for them. Mm-hmm. And that's a big part of the culture is just like, hey, how can we put something out that all our current customers will thank us for, not just not just new ones.
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
thought it was kind of cool in the first episode with you. We were talking about like, the possibility or just the thought of like, when you get a sidewalk. So like mine is going to be like my one head's going to be like right here to do my front yard.
Yeah.
But then, the fact that I have a boulevard that's it's like 120 inches wide. So I definitely want to water that because every year that gets nuked. But at the same time, you're watering your whole sidewalk.
Yeah.
But with your guys' head, there's maybe 8 or so different titles. So, the technology to possibly shut just these 2 off. And then that way it splits, your sidewalk and just does that. Like that would be cool. Like that would be like super cool to see.
We've heard that piece as well. Like I think that there's some really cool sort of spot watering that can enable as well. So we're working on it. It's in the lab.
That's cool.
Yeah. But the whole part about this is hopefully you'll have a system that as these new products come out, because it's that plug and play piece, you're gonna have this ability to expand it, put another one in. One of the other things that somebody sent me a little message on is like they like put in a shed, like they're like, hey, I need a shed back here, and they're like, I was like, oh shoot, I put in the shed, I'm gonna have to dig up all the irrigation, do this entire plumbing project just because I want a shed and put 2 more heads around, and then they're like, oh no, it's Irrigreen.
Oh yeah.
I
pulled the app out, and in like 2 minutes I had the cutout around the shed and I was done. So just like, we kind of want to play with our backyards. That's why we do this. And so like having that flexibility to I don't know exactly how I'm going to want my backyard in 5 years. And I don't want to have this whole, $1,000 plumbing project.
Right.
When I decide to change my mind and I want to do something different, I want to put in a barbecue pit or I want to, change something else. And so having that sort of digital flexibility to kind of just change the shape of my phone versus, get my shovel out and my.
Yeah, my thought was, I chose just to do the front yard. I was focusing on that. I knew the backyard's kind of a disaster right now anyway. And I have all my other, I can just throw some hoses and some timers out there if I wanted to. But I have the ability because the system's easy enough. Like I know where my head is. That would be the one I would, kind of dig around there, find the PVC and shoot down to the backyard, and it would just be a connector and you just, you could put in the second zone with a wire, or you just tap right into that head too and just keep going down the line and, identify the heads. But, it's not a whole big deal. Down the road, you decide, okay, now let's throw the backyard in there too, or do some other area that I didn't previously have in my original plans, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah. A lot of people do that. They'll like do their front yard or they'll do their backyard first. And then they'll be like, okay, I'm going to, wait a little while and then take on the front yard or something else like that to break the project up. That works great.
Yeah. I mean, with that, you'd have to think about, do you need another valve box? There's more stuff to think about, I imagine, in a traditional system than just adding on to this one, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like, it's not just that you have 5 heads versus 40. It's also like there are no valves.
Right.
Like
yeah,
they
each
go
one
all
runs
way.
independently. They control
There are no
themselves.
wiring. All the wiring you had to do to like get to the valves in the backyard and the front, and you had to like put those caps with the grease on them. And after the snowstorm, they didn't work anymore. Like all that goes away too. Or, all the maintenance on those valves. Like a lot of times, valves busted. Hopefully it's not busted open.
Yeah, man.
So just a lot of, just a lot cleaner. And then just not having the whole like, Manhattan stub way of PVC pipe underneath your yard. Any of it that can get hit by a root or crack or separate, just having 80% less pipe gives me like a little more peace of mind at my house.
Yeah, I was telling somebody about this system when, I was telling them, I've been doing irrigation, whatever. And they asked, how many heads can run at one time? Oh, is it just the one head, just one head at a time? And they didn't quite understand, like, what do you mean you can't run more than, how do you get the whole zone? I was like, no, that head, that does the whole zone. And then if you have some issue where you need to take the head out or whatever, like you cap off or turn off that one and the rest of the system can continue on just fine. So if you're doing something in the yard or for whatever reason, you need to shut one off, assuming you put in a little valve just before it where you can just twist and turn, which is what I did. I mean, I think that's a smart thing to do, but yeah, the rest of the system can keep going without issue. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Hey, Josh asked there, did I understand that right? Some people do hot water irrigation. Do not water your lawn with hot water. We're just talking about when you do poly or like PEX, the way you like get it on and stuff like that is you heat up you basically heat up the tube and everything else like that. So it's hot and it slips over the fitting. And then when it cools down, it's like makes a bulletproof connection.
Yeah. That's more of just kind of get,
it's just putting the pipes together.
Yeah. Well, this was awesome, you guys.
Cool. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
we
definitely.
Always, appreciate when we get somebody, such as yourself, taking the time to come and join us and tell us a little bit about what they got going on. So, thank you for coming back again for round 2 and hanging out with us again tonight. This has been great.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And please, if you haven't, feel free. There's a lot of extra material on how to install the systems on the Irrigreen website, which is www.irrigreen.com. Also, if you go to YouTube, you can see a lot of these guys' videos up there. So great lawn tips, but there's also, if you do YouTube Irrigreen, you'll find like lots of other third-party people doing reviews of Irrigreen and how to put it in and tips on that and everything else like that. So that's another really good resource. There's so much online now in terms of just Irrigreen junkies on how to keep these systems up and stuff like that. I learn a lot on that. So.
Yeah, and hey, chat, go comment on all those videos, especially the Fox News one, and say, hey, come watch this interview.
That's right. There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Start tagging this episode's address in all the TikToks.
There you go. I like it.
Learn more about Irrigreen.
Yeah.
So,
Nate, what's the timeline for you? Are you doing it? Are you going to get this spring or summer, or what's your plan?
I'm hoping, I'm trying to get the plumber guy lined up, and that's kind of what I'm waiting on. If that goes, possibly not this weekend, but next weekend I might tackle it.
Nice.
We'll see. It depends on the help I get lined up and whatnot.
Yeah.
Pics and videos. I can't wait to see it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
take
like
pictures. I didn't remember to take enough pictures when I was doing mine, so don't forget that part of it when you're out there.
the nice thing is I'll probably do a lot of it with my GoPro. So then as you're making your video, you know, then you got 10,000 pictures that you can choose from during that, because you can do frame by frame. But yeah, so I don't know. Still kind of doing some research, still verifying I'm 100% ready to go. But that's my plan. I asked for a Friday and a Monday off work. So that way, if I decide to pull the trigger, then I can make it a long weekend and go from there.
Are you going to do PVC or PEX, or have you decided on your?
I'll do PVC.
Yeah.
Nice. So yep, do PVC and go from there. And like I said, cross fingers, and at least I don't have to go. I don't have to go underneath the driveway. Luckily,
now, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Are you dragging hoses now, or do you have an irrigation system?
No,
dragging hoses.
I've been sprinklers from day one. So
all right.
Yeah, this has been like this has been like my dream for like the last 5 years to have an irrigation system. And every time I think about it, I was like, no, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to tear up the yard. Finances aren't right now, you know. And now it's just like it's time. It's a bucket list thing for me.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I think Josh in the chat, he's actually going to come up and do a lot of the trenching for me. So he doesn't know that yet, but just volunteered him.
Right.
So
yeah, Josh, you know what your role is in this little plan now, don't you?
So, yep. But no, it should be, like I said, if I'm excited to do it, nervous at the same time, but yeah, I'm pretty pumped up to do it. It's gonna be fun.
Well, please, right on the app, there's like a little service thing. So you can go in there anytime, you can push that button, and it's kind of like a little bat signal. And that gets you some help. So if you have any questions on that, we really try to invest in that service side really heavily.
That's cool.
To make sure that we're always backing up these products. So
whatever weekend Nate ends up doing it, I'm going to do a rain dance that Friday so that the rain comes and it prolongs his project, so he can kind of go through a little bit of what I had to deal with.
Or it makes the soil easier to dig.
That's true. It's true. If the ground's not too dry, it's a little easier to get down there.
Yeah, I would think, if you were working with just mud, it'd be miserable too.
Oh yeah.
No, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Great show.
Hear the music. Hey, pleasure being on with you guys. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week.
Remember that code? Go to irrigreen.com. Promo code KOTG for $500 off a system.
Oh, get me in trouble.
only good till the end of the month. So if you got questions about it, message Bill, message myself. We'll figure it out, okay?
Peace.
Thanks, guys.